What's happening, everybody? I'm hopping on this live. It's my first day back to work. My first day back to my 9 to 5. I didn't necessarily want to go back today. I didn't want to go back today, basically. But y'all know how the way the system works. Bereavement time, PTO. You only get as much time as what is allowed in the system, not really as much time. But anyways, I wanted to just hop on this live for a little bit of a distraction slash change of pace. Now, some of y'all are interested in how whenever I go on these shows, I always end up A, in the front row, and B, I have several shots on the camera. So this is once you've been there enough and kind of learned how the game works, it becomes a little bit of a strategy because I would be shocked at this point if both of those things didn't happen. In fact, I think one time I went to the Sherry Shepherd show and they put me up, way up towards the top, towards the back. And I was like, what's going on? My system's not working. Uh, I think the first TV show I ever went to was The Chew. The Chew was like a cooking show. I went with like a couple of friends and I think we were on there for like 1 second, but that was it. And then I went to the Dr. Oz show. I went to, let me see, the Dr. Oz show. I went to the Wild 'N Out show. What else? The Chew, Dr. Oz, Wild 'N Out. I think it was just those three. And then I took a long break from going to any of these shows. And then in 2019, I went to Good Morning America. And I don't think that I was in any of those scenes, any of those times. Maybe one or two when I went to Good Morning America very briefly, but it wasn't like a guarantee that they were going to put me in the front row. I was just seated wherever. So the reason for my title of how Nick Cannon was the reason why I started to get in the front row consistently is because Nick Cannon show made no secret about how they chose who goes where. You get outside in the line, and I remember when I started going to his show when it was still on, it was about November. So it was winter time. It was cold outside. So you'd have on a jacket. And then when they're coming to scan your tickets and everything, they would tell you, open your jacket. And they would say, can I take a picture of your outfit? And I forget what outfit I had on the first time I went to the show, but I think I dressed up kind of nice. And the guy took a picture of my outfit. And then he was like, he had two sets of tickets in his hands. He had a regular ticket and a VIP ticket. So he handed me the VIP ticket, and the VIP tickets, um, they would let you into the studio first, and they would position you closer to the stage. So at first, I thought that that was just a coincidence. Like maybe I got there early or something, and that's the reason why I got that particular ticket. And then I remember when I got into the studio, oh man, And this is why I usually put my phone on do not disturb mode. Sorry about that for anyone who was on a second ago. But what I was saying was when you got outside the Nick Cannon show, the I don't know what position the guy was, but maybe some kind of I don't know. I don't know what they're called, but he would look at your outfit. He would literally look at you and look at your outfit and he'd be like, nice fit. And then he'd hand you a VIP ticket. And then when you get in there, you get placed in the front row. So this is one half of it. This is the part of getting on the camera is just dressing up nice. And then when I went in there, I remember Nick always walking through the audience, and then he'd be like, "Oh, that's definitely a dope fit, man. I like the style. I like that jacket. I like your tie." And then when he would walk through and see me, next thing you know, I would end up on the show when the camera's panning into the crowd, and then I was realizing like, okay, so every time I come here, I'm going to be on the camera. So when his show got canceled, I started going to other shows. Um, let me see. Sherry Shepherd, Tamron Hall. These are all shows that I started going to more recently. I went to the Drew Barrymore show. There's a few others, but basically, when I'm getting up in the morning, I dress as if I'm going to a job. I dress as if I'm going to the office. And when you do that, and when your outfit looks good or looks fresh or it looks unique, because some people don't wear a standard style. Someone will come and they'll wear like this hot pink glittery thing that everyone's gonna look at, or someone will wear like some kind of costume. They'll dress up like Dick Tracy and yell. But the thing with me is I'm not. That's not my personality. I'm not really gonna put on anything crazy or scream to be seen. So I just get up there and I dress as if I'm going to some kind of a function, the same way that I would wear my clothes as if I'm going to some sort of function. And they visually look at that and they're like, okay, let's put this guy in the front row. The second part of it, what gets you the more camera time, is everyone says it's fake, like you're faking when you have big reactions to everything going on. Like, for instance, I remember the Steve Wilkos show. I mean, it's hard to compare daytime television to Steve Wilkos because, quite honestly, reacting is part of the fun. Going to the Steve Wilkos show is like going to like a WWE event because you're like, oh my goodness, wow! Like, and they'll tell you to do that. It's more extra than a regular daytime television television set. So I'll say with a daytime television, yes, they tell you to cheer loudly or they tell you to have loud reactions, but it's a little bit more real. It's just that where you would normally, if you see a Cameron Hall, let's say, in a small room or a classroom or something, and there's no cameras, you might nod your head. They tell you there's mics all around the studio, and we have to show that this is something that people are enjoying. And the TV audience that's watching on the TV has to be able to hear you or see you visibly nodding or putting your hands in the air. So you get kind of accustomed to having those extra reactions once you've been to a million of these shows. And the combination of what I'm wearing and my reactions to everything that's going on in the studio is why every time that I go, I'm basically going to be on the screen at some point. And I learned that, like I said, from a Nick Cannon show. Now, I'll say, when it comes to the hosts of those shows, some of them are more genuine than others. And I would honestly have to say Tamron Hall is one of the more genuine people that I remember. Nick Cannon, Michael Strahan, man. Michael Strahan was one of my favorites when they used to allow people on the Good Morning America set. He was really the first person who made me want to come to those shows consistently. I didn't have much personal interaction with him, but it's just that compared to others, he was very uh, good with the engagement with the audience. Because some of them, they're only fun when the lights are on, and then when the lights go off, they're not trying to talk to anybody. But he was not like that. But Nick Cannon was the one who really made me like going to those shows in the first place and made me realize what it took to stand out on those shows. And he would always have his slogan where he was like, if you look good, you feel good. And if you feel good, you do good. And it takes me back to a time when I was very depressed. And during that time of extreme depression, the only thing you would catch me in was sweatpants and a tank top. That was my daily attire. I was not going to wear anything else. I was not going to dress any other way. That's it. Sweats and a tank top. And I didn't feel good. And I remember my mom actually was like, maybe if you dressed up and maybe if you got yourself together and put yourself together, you would feel better. And I'm like, I'm dressing according to how I feel. But I think that even in those times, it's important to not dress how you feel. It's important to dress and put yourself together according to how you want to feel. Because have you ever noticed when you're just blah and you get up and you don't put yourself together, you feel blah. I mean, I don't know if that's the case for everyone, but that's the case for me. I experienced some of that even at the beginning of the pandemic. You know, when the pandemic first started and work from home first started, I had never done work from home before. And when I started doing work from home and I didn't have to go into the office anymore, I would start getting up later and later, and I wouldn't really be concerned about how I'm dressing or looking because I'm like, well, the clients aren't seeing me anyways, so who really cares? And then I noticed the pounds. I started to put on the pounds and I started to let all my hair grow out. Well, that wasn't totally my fault. All the barber shops were closed, but my hair grew out crazy, my beard grew out crazy. And it got to a point where the only thing I was doing was working and sleeping. Work, sleep, watch TV, and eat. That's a recipe for a disaster for somebody with clinical depression like me. I have to be doing something productive and I have to be moving. Like, people always see me continually moving and doing something new. And it's like, oh, I wish I had your motivation levels. Not realizing it's not necessarily about me having a high motivation level. It's more about the fact of I've seen and experienced what happens when I stop moving. And that's a scary thing in a scary place and something that I don't want to experience again in life. Um, yeah, so it's my go-to when times are rough. And this is just a little bit of an explanation of how I have guaranteed myself front row and airtime every show. Shout out to Nick Cannon.